Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matthew Miller, and welcome
Pete Drysdale here. I,
to our first official episode of Tip of the Iceberg. Now, what we do here basically is we look over the match cards of everything that is going on inside the wrestling world, specifically Mania Wars Wrestling and Global Mania Wrestling. Right? My apologies, folks. Just having to put the link to this little show up on the page, which you can follow on Facebook. And today we are going to be looking at Global Mania Wrestling's March Medlam Night 2. This is the first of two nights where the owner of Global Mania Wrestling, Triple J, has decided to make a sort of tribute to a friend of his who tragically passed away. And right now we are in night 2 of it. Now this match card is pretty small, so thankfully we're not going to have much time to go over it. But let's get right down to brass tacks. Our first matchup here is for the GMW Pure Championship. We've got the current champion, the Vagabond, member of Whole New Era, going up against the debuting... Not sure how that's pronounced.
What do we have here?
Some Ginga Ninja? Jinja Ninja?
Ginger Ninja, an MWW original. This man is not to be reckoned with. This match is gonna be interesting. I'm telling you what, Ginga Ninja has been in the ring with the likes of Joe Delaney, Jacob Klein, all the best you've ever heard of. He's even tag team partnered with Nick Apollo early in his career, leading to a defeat of Whole New Era. So this man is not one to be messed with. Then you got Vagabond on the other side, who is a natural born killer. This match is one to be paying attention to. This pure title has a lot of prestige behind it. And now GMW going on a new route, forgetting the past, and these two men showcasing what the new world brings. This match is going to lead to many new fans coming aboard. I promise you that. Whoever tunes into this match automatically becomes a wrestling fan if they weren't before, and they become a fan of GMW because this match is going to be a showstopper. I promise you.
I don't think any better words could be said, but I'll go ahead and try. I've seen plenty of Vagabond's work inside both GMW and MWW in my time, but Jinja Ninja is one I haven't really been keeping my eye on lately, and personally I'm really
Well,
excited to see what he can do inside that ring.
with a guy like Ginger Ninja, you got to understand that anything can happen is not just a catchphrase. Anything can and will happen. Uh, I've seen rings explode. I've seen locker rooms on fire. I've seen things like this. Assassins come out of the fucking rooftops. Ginger Ninja is insane. And he's a martial artist and a master at ninjutsu. So those things combined are fucking insane. And then you have Vagabond, which is like a fifth dimensional murderer. I don't even know how to explain what Vagabond is, but he surely is dangerous. And he's a key member of Whole New Era, which is a dominant faction in many, many wrestling organizations. And this is one bound to be amazing because, like, as you know, the Whole New Era carefully selects its members, and like, not everybody's invited. You understand?
I understand that completely. But as much as I want to keep talking about this match, I think everyone watching wants to see what we have to say about that main event. What a main event it is. On the previous night of March Medlam, we had a few matches between the varying teams, and this is a tag team style bash to crown GMW's first ever tag team champions. We got plenty of people who are hungry and wanting to be the first champs to set the standard for that division. Now, there were a few matches on night 1 to determine what would happen during night 2. The main event of night 1 was we had The Hive, Mr. Crowley, and Beast going against the team of Whole New Era's Caleb Santos and Matt Walters. Now, in that match, Caleb and Walters ended up coming out the victor, which means they get to come in last in this main event, an over-the-top rope battle royal between all of the teams in the Medlam. The last one standing gets the titles.
Okay. Now this match, if you're looking for an advantage or who the favorite is, this type of match you can't have a favorite unless like who the heaviest and biggest guy is. He's gonna be the hardest guy to eliminate. But other than that, you just have to be the slickest, most strategic guy.
That is true. That is true. Now let me go ahead and list off who we've got here so far. We've got Crowley and Beast, who will be the first team in. And we've got Caleb Santos and Matt Walters, who will be the last team in. But it's the ones between those two teams that really give some interest here. We have the former world champion Oda Yano teaming up with the true Shane Garrison. Now, as we've seen in the past few weeks, Oda Yano is not one to really look down upon. And Shane Garrison is Shane Garrison. I don't want to knock the man down, but he's personally tried to attack our show here, and I can't really let that slide.
Rose say this for years, and I kind of understand what he means. Oda Yano is Jar Jar Binks. You know, he always seems to make his way out of a situation, no matter how goofy he looks. And I think he's just like drunken mastering everybody, and he's not as dumb as he looks. And I figure he's gonna use Shane as a tank in this battle royal as much as he can to avoid danger, and he'll probably be one of the last four standing. Oda has some crazy type of luck, and that makes him dangerous in this match.
Indeed, he has. Now, I say former world champion here because the current world champion is actually in this match wanting to go for the tag titles. Matthew Frost, and he is teaming up with the Highway Star, Whole New Era's Nick Apollo.
Now, that's the team to watch. You have the current world champion, that says it all, and then you have Nick Apollo. I don't understand how people don't understand how dangerous Nick Apollo is already. If you haven't seen this guy in other places, well, do your homework on Nick Apollo. Let's start there. You know, Nick Apollo is the type of guy like I call him the Super Saiyan of professional wrestling. Just when you think he's reached his level and his opponent's gonna be too big for him, he levels up and becomes that much more powerful and he knocks his next opponent down. And now teamed up with the world champion, I don't think anybody else stands a chance in this tournament. But
And
then again,
that's not
you
all.
got the guys coming in.
Nick Apollo is the current world champion over in MWW.
He's been the world champion for a couple of years now.
So I think that
Not to
really,
mention, he's really competing right now in other strong style places where there's less rules. They go a lot harder, and some of these places not even to be talked about yet because it's still illegal. but Nick beats people over there.
And that surely is something to be said about how dangerous it is. You talked about how people are constantly underestimating him. Well, quite honestly, it's a trait that also comes with his tag partner, Mr. Frost. I've seen it constantly. I did a nice little thorough check throughout his career. Underestimation is the name of the game with all of his opponents. He comes up, he's got all this fire, this passion, and people just seem to underestimate him. They view him as a stepping stone, and then they get in the ring, and he just blows everyone's minds with how much he's willing to go through to get the win.
I think I think Matthew Frost is like Matthew Frost's own worst enemy. He lets these comments get to him because at the end of the day, when you look where it really matters, the bookers see it, and he's always involved in some kind of world title picture, be it in the defunct NEW where he was always around the Riot World Championship picture. He's always been around the GWF World Title picture for the past 3 4 years, and now at GMW he's right back at the top. So I think underestimating him is a fool's game, and whoever's doing this is not really doing their homework. Let's start there.
Well, one of the members of one of the teams was certainly doing that on night one, that being MJ, the former Killer Smile, with his partner, the Blue Starlight Sander Cool.
Well, Sander Cool kind of lives in his own imaginary world. So I would think any comment coming from Sander Cool has to be taken with a grain of salt. Now, MJ, I've been watching MJ for a long, long time, and MJ has the talent to back up what he says. But the problem is, I've seen MJ go through a phase, and like now he's in like a kind of wrestling midlife crisis where he doesn't accept that there's new talent involved that have gotten to the level in the fight that he had to go through so many years ago when he was the one being underestimated. And I feel like MJ just has like a bone to pick with him not being at the top anymore, and that
And that
that
was
just
something
bothers him.
that's something I'm not really understanding here with MJ. Like, I took a look through what he said recently on social media. He seems to really try to big himself up, make himself look like this giant threat, even though he isn't the champion.
Now you must understand, uh, I can't knock and you cannot discount the threat MJ is. MJ, I remember the days where there was a clique called the Mafia, and Dro Delaney had broke away from it, and that was like the beginning of a whole new era. And first guy that joined the whole new era with Dro was MJ as Killer Smile. Even in those days, Killer Smile was a threat, and he's earned his place and his position. And I understand that he should be a main eventer, and he should be fighting for a world title. This guy has all the tools to do it. He's just been away for a while, and you understand how it goes. You fight your way through the ring. That being said, I understand that respect should be given to a world champion at this level, but I just feel like MJ is testing Matthew Frost. It's like he knows how to get under his skin, and he's gonna use that as leverage. This is the world of professional wrestling. Everything you can use it to your advantage, you have to use because everybody is just that damn good, and you have to push forward with everything you can. World titles are the most coveted things in this game. You understand this?
I understand completely. Let me just pull up my notes here. I wrote down some notes before we started from night one. Now, what always confused me was whenever whenever there would be like this battle of words between Frost and MJ, or even between MJ and anyone, I've always seen a bit of a pattern with MJ, and the pattern is I'm not going to let this rub off me. This means nothing.
I mean,
Does
that's how
that
he
help
survived in the
him
game for
somewhat?
years. That's how he survived in this game for years. Nothing like, sometimes you take a loss, you rub it, you brush it off, you come back, and he just kept coming back. So like nothing you really can. I mean, he's nothing. Okay, this is how I see it because I've seen NJ for a long time and I've been around circles. I've always been in those locker rooms asking questions and getting the reports done. So when you talk to a guy like NJ, what he means is there's nothing you can do to him that hasn't been done, and he survived it all. So everything you say is gonna rub off of him because he's seen it all. You understand? There's nothing that's gonna wow him, amaze him, catch him by surprise. So that's what he means by that.
And right now, I want to shift the focus to the last team that's in this battle royal here. We've got TJ Shadows teaming up with Ralph Swagger.
Okay, you got Ralph Swagger is a veteran. He's a journeyman. Dude has been everywhere, has been done it all. He's gonna be a future Hall of Famer just for the fact of his longevity and his consistency. He's been constantly in the world title picture in big matches. He's fought the likes of Rob Roman, Joe Delaney, Matthew Frost himself. He's fought everybody in the game. I mean, he knows everybody just as well as anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So like this guy's, he's a good partner to have. And then you got TJ Shadows. This guy's an up and coming star. He's been doing his thing everywhere. He's got a vast arsenal of moves that he's always gonna put somebody in trouble in the ring. You know what I mean? And these guys are a good combination. They're not to be slept on. These guys could be the dark horse team of this fucking tournament.
Now, a special thing I want to mention with what Swagger's been saying lately, he likened this match to a war. And that seemed to really hit something with Matthew Frost because back in the now defunct NEW, he's actually been through a match that actually could be likened to war, the War Games match. But,
Okay.
and I want to make sure of this here, when Mr. Frost mentioned that, Mr. Swagger wasn't deterred and kept going. And in one of his statements, when Matthew Frost talked about how this is wrestling, like it isn't war, Swagger said, like, and I quote here, "It ain't nothing about wrestling when it comes to this damn match."
Okay.
I know
This
out
is
of
what he means
context that
by
sounds weird, but
this is what he means by this. Like it's bigger than wrestling to him. This is for the tag team title. Like he's ready to fight and die for this in that ring. This is what he means by it's a war. It's bigger than a war games match. A war games match is a themed war between two factions. But this what he means is he's going in there with that spirit of battle. Like he's ready to take y'all all out or die trying. And he's gonna win. That's what he means.
that is certainly interesting. But what I can say here from what everyone has said, the hungriest person I think in that matchup, it isn't Ralph, it isn't TJ, it's not even Mr. Frost or Nick Apollo. I think the hungriest person in that matchup is Shane Garrison.
Well, Shane Garrison's got a lot to prove to everyone. I tell you what, Shane Garrison feels like no matter what he's tried throughout his career, he just hasn't done enough, and everybody doubts him. And he's tired of it. And it feels like if it's not his time now, it's never. So he's ready to go in there and die trying himself. He's ready to go to war himself. But I think what we haven't talked about tonight, probably my favorite pick in this match, came right up in and right up under everybody's nose, and he's even like pulled Matter's attention away from Matthew Frost. You talk
We've
about
already
Caleb
got
Finn.
some we have already got some people commenting here. Mr. Triple J himself doesn't seem to have much faith in the most hated superstar.
Well, listen, first, let's stop the presses. Triple J is out here. He hasn't paid me my paycheck in like 15 months. So, Triple J, not even, he hasn't even sent over a care package of bacon. You know what I mean?
And we've got another
So, let's
comment
move
here
on to
about
the topic.
Mr. Shane. I think this is Caleb Santos himself, a former guest on our show here, saying, after seeing Shane duke it out with Ralph, I can see where you guys are coming from.
See, that's, that's the guy you need to watch right there. Jacob, Jacob, or sorry, Caleb. I don't know why the hell I said Jacob. Well, Caleb Santos is the guy you need to watch out for here. He's the guy willing to take the most risk, has the most to prove. He's the new kid on the block, and he's been making waves since he got into the game. Jacob Klein's little brother. Like, what a bloodline, my man.
But here's something I want to go ahead and mention here. I'm going to pull the mic up just so people can actually get this clear and crystal. Caleb Santos doesn't just have the tag Medlam to worry about. Recently, there's been a bit of a war of words between himself and Michael Maddern. Now, this is
Yeah,
something
it's
that's
understandable.
not only pulled in Whole New Era, but it's also pulled in Mr. Frost himself.
You got a kid that's being coached by the people that can tell you everything they need to know about marriage. You understand? Whole new era. Who will ever be taken lightly? Everybody should know this. You guys are legends. But at the same time, you gotta understand the whole new era. They're not guys fucking and they get missions accomplished. They if you're a member of a whole new era, you're a member of an elite squad. And these guys train each other well. Don't you think you're part of a whole new era and then you just get to wear a t-shirt? You understand? There's a discipline involved.
And speaking of factions, actually, going back to Mr. Frost lately, he has mentioned specifically that he has not heard from any of the others in the Hive since he won the title. And he has mentioned that unless they are willing to meet with him, he is no longer considering himself a member of the Hive.
Been able to think you guys are weird as fuck. I don't like these guys, so anybody like staying away from the hive is a good thing to me.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? It appears your mic cut out a bit.
Hold on a minute. Just I'm having problems with my headpiece, man. Battery situation.
Oh dear. There goes my co-host for a bit, ladies and gentlemen, going off to fix his microphone. For now, I'll just continue onwards. What does this mean for the world champion Matthew Frost? With himself no longer being a part of the Hive and teaming up with Nick Apollo of Whole New Era, does it mean the start of a potential partnership between Frost and the Whole New Era? And on top of that, with Caleb Santos going up against Michael Maddern, will Mr. Frost be in his corner when it comes to that match? It's a lot to think about. And that's how it usually goes here with Tip of the Iceberg. We give you a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. Fortunately, it appears my co-host's camera is also dying. So, I think we're going to leave you all with that. Be sure to check out GMW Tag Team Medlam, March Medlam, Night 2, and I will see you guys next week with my co-host, Pete Drosdale, and a special guest. Just remember, folks, when it comes to the news in wrestling, it's always just the tip of the iceberg. See you guys soon.